So they do a little bit different. I'm really happy to say it. However, I'm kind of confused. It must have just been an estimator as to how you would do. But here's my question. Alright, so we're looking at... Okay.
The score thing might be in my truck if you want me to...
Oh, no, you're fine.
Because that thing got wrinkled up.
Here's my question. It says you are qualified for avionic mechanics. Okay. That practice test that you took, did it ask anything about an airplane?
No, sir.
Did it have anything about electronics on it?
No, sir.
It's impossible for them to tell you that you can be an avionic mechanic without testing your aviation or mechanics, because mechanics is a part of the ASVAB. It's one of the full sections. And you get a mechanical score. It's called your score. That's what's used to qualify you for a job. Strictly an estimator based off of a general score. This is good though. That's awesome.
So it was just an estimator like you were saying?
At best. Because it's an...
Because the practice ASVAB didn't have any mechanical or any food.
And I know that it doesn't. Because it's the exact same test that we have. So, for instance, you're apparently qualified for information technology specialist. Okay, how many electrical or electrical questions did you answer?
It didn't ask me any.
No, they asked you to identify words, do some word math problems, read some paragraphs, and answer some equations, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Let's see here. Oh, you're qualified to be a multimedia illustrator. I don't remember any of those questions on there. A multi-channel transmission systems operator maintainer. You're qualified for that. That's an electrical job. Congratulations, you can be a dental specialist. Did you know that? You must have did really good. This is kind of awesome. You can be a mental health specialist. That is... Oh, well here's a cool one. One line you're unqualified to be a recruiter, but one line you're already qualified to be a recruiter. And you're qualified to be a career counselor. That's cool. You can be a veterinary food inspection specialist, animal care specialist. I don't remember asking any animal questions on there. You can be Intel. Straight up, dude, off your practice ASVAB that took you 20 minutes, they're telling you that you can be Intel. Human intelligence collector, and a counterintelligence agent. A working dog handler. It's awesome. And they're saying that you're qualified for military police, but you're not, because before you can even assign military police as a job, you have to be 18 years old. Before you can even assign it.
Okay, we get the point.
This is amazing, though. Oh, hold on. This is so cool. What musical instrument do you play?
I don't.
But you're qualified to be a musician.
They have a musician up there?
Musician, right there. Right above my thumb. And right here. Right above my thumb. Qualified. You had an audition? They don't expect you to look at it and ask those questions.
Okay, so apparently that is gonna, when he takes the real one, is gonna look very, very different than what.
Yes, ma'am. I've never seen that before, but how long did the test take you? 20 to 35 minutes? To practice that. So the real one, the fastest I've ever seen it taken was an hour and 10 minutes. And that was like ridiculously fast. It's got 10 sections instead of 4. And it breaks down, it's got questions about science, electrical, clerical, computer work, assembling objects, mechanical, everything, to include the 4 sections that he did. The sections that are designed to see if you're qualified for those. Mm-hmm. And for a musician, we have to bring a musician technical advisor, an MTA, down to audition you before you're qualified to be a musician. But apparently because you took a 20 that's incredible.
I didn't recognize or realize that there was a musician in the military branches.
I know that the Army, Navy, and Marine Corps has it. I would assume the Air Force does, since we do. I'm not ruling them out. I've never
What do
heard
they
of it.
do?
Honestly, they play the parades, they play ceremonies, they play anything that we do as.
Oh, that's like the one that plays dun dun dun.
Yep, that's one job. But literally, it's everything from the flute to the trombone, the sax, the drums,
Okay.
the piano, guitar, everything. But that's cool, man. Never seen it before. I'm glad I saw that though. That's impressive. But in order to actually tell you what you're qualified for, it comes down to what your actual line scores are.
The actual ASVAB.
And you only get that from an actual ASVAB. And then, just because you're qualified for a job, it has to be available. Not every job is always available. Because if every job was always available, we would have 10,000 people in one job, and we would have 9,000 jobs that nobody wanted. We have to have cooks. We have to have people that do postal clerk. We have to have those. So it goes through, and certain jobs are available in certain months. Whatever month MEPS assigns you, that's the selection that you have. We take what you're qualified for, we see what's available, we talk to you, what are you most interested in, and that becomes your job. To sit there and say, hey, here's the 400 jobs in the Army or the Navy or the Marine Corps, what job do you want? I promise you you'll get it. It's a lie. It's impossible to work that way.
Can we go back to the reserves and why that would be beneficial to him?
Mainly to you. And him, though. The reserves. So you would leave right after high school, and then you would come back after 13 weeks of boot camp. You would come back for 10 days.
Where's boot camp normally?
Parris Island, South Carolina, always.
That's where Britain went, right?
Yep. If you're east of the Mississippi, it's Parris Island, South Carolina. If you're west of Mississippi, it's San Diego, California. After 13 weeks, you come home for 10 days. That 10 days, he's yours. You walk around, you're in uniform, you're going to end up at the high... Yeah, because school will be back in. You're going to walk into the high school, you're going to be showing off your dress blues, everything else. That's what everybody does. After 10 days, you leave again, and you go to what's called MCT, Marine Combat Training. Sounds real intense, right? Boy Scouts? Familiar with Boy Scouts?
Yes.
It's kind of like Boy Scouts on steroids. It's fun. It's your field training. It's because every Marine is a rifleman mentality, meaning that we all have the understanding of how to do certain things. I'm in communications. That's what I do. But you're going to do field training for 28 training days. So you're going to be out in the field. You're going to be living in a tent. You're going to be living in hooches. You're going to be digging fighting holes. You're going to be shooting the bigger guns, the M16, the 240, the 50 caliber, throwing grenades. Just becoming familiar with the different weapon systems, doing different types of like squad exercises, fire team exercises, things that we really don't do anymore, but it's like fundamental to the military in case we ever have to go back to that kind of sort of deal. All the way down to learning how to the basic functions of a radio, so you can maintain communications, land navigation, things like that. You get introduced to those things. After that, without a break, you go straight to what's called your MOS school, Military Occupational Specialty. That's the school where you're going to learn the basics of your job. That could be anywhere from, what is the shortest one? I want to say one is only 10 days long. I can't remember what it is. Pretty much it's anywhere from about 1 month to 15 months. Generally speaking, you're looking at the 3 to 4 month range. The 15-month range is the one that includes you learning Arabic. So it's a counter intel one and part of the curriculum.
Which, by the way, you qualify for.
Yeah, did you know that? But that's why it's 15 months long. They learn all the intel, and then you go into the language, and it's just a ridiculously long school. But generally, it's 3 to 4 months. And then you come back with, depending on how you save or how you spend your money, anywhere from $4,000 to $8,000 in your pocket. You come back with that. My usual recommendation, pick up COA. Why? Because $4,000 to $8,000 cash will pretty much cover COA. Now, throw all that in a COA, you get 2 years of college under your belt, you transfer to ECSU. Why do I say that? Because it's another cheap local school. You don't need to worry about housing, you don't need to worry about out-of-state tuition, nothing like that. Your bachelor's degree from ECSU is going to hold just as much credit as your bachelor's degree from JMU, ODU, all the way up to Harvard. unless you're going for some type of alumni thing, it doesn't really matter what school it says, as long as it's an accredited school. Once you have that bachelor's degree in whatever field you decide to go get it in, because for us, it's whatever field you want. It doesn't matter. It could literally be bachelor's degree, underwater basket weaving. What they're looking for is it shows that you had the discipline and you had the mental fortitude to stick it out and earn a degree. At that point, this is where you have the option. Stick with whatever you got your degree in. Go find you a job in that field. But here's the other kicker that you have. Now that you have 4 years of Marine Corps experience under your belt, because as a reservist you work 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks in the summertime, just like you hear on the TV all the time. You have 4 years experience as a Marine, and you have the prerequisite now, a bachelor's degree, to become a full-time Marine Corps officer. So, by going into the reserves, you're sort of dual-wielding yourself. You play Call of Duty?
Yes, sir.
You remember like GoldenEye back in the day? Dual-wielding pistols? Alright, so you have two different options, basically. Now you have a degree and an education that you pay very little or nothing, depending on how you manage your money. You could literally end up paying nothing for it, because we'll cover it if you spend the money and use your resources wisely. And you'll also have the option to be very competitive to, if you still want a full-time military career, rather than making a snap decision to go full-time during high school, now you can go full-time but as an officer. Less front line, more time to consider full-term, and he stays home for at least 4 years with you, but still getting assistance and getting an education. Two things that mothers are very fond of, education and home. I've done this job for quite some time. No matter what I walked into with your mom, I already played out every scenario where I started playing out every scenario that I've ever had. I ran out of time. I've been in every different situation. I've been met at the door with a shotgun in my face.
There was something that struck a chord with me about reserves though.
Mm-hmm.
So that experience in the reserves,
Mm-hmm.
does that go towards his 20 years if he chooses to make it a career?
Yes, it still gets factored in. However, it's his active duty time. So it would be the 7 to 9 months of the initial active duty time, and then his 1 week in a month. It would all get correlated in. And there's like a conversion. It's not, if he does 4 years in the reserves, it doesn't knock 4 years off of his retirement.
Exactly.
It's,
Because you're not doing it all the time.
a lot of people go into it assuming that, and I try to tell everybody that that's not how it works.
Let me stop. I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
So if he went and got a 2-year degree
Mhm.
at
Nothing.
COA,
Does not matter.
that doesn't count towards him going in as like an
As an
officer?
What
Even
it,
at a higher level?
it's got to be all or nothing. What it would do if he waited 2 years and got a 2-year degree, the only thing it would do is if he came in, if he wasn't already in, is 15 college credits get you a promotion. You would be an E2 instead of an E1. But that's also the same thing that if he has 2 years of JROTC under his belt, or if he was an Eagle Scout, or if he gives me 2 names and numbers of his friends and they decide to enlist, all of those things get you a promotion. But as far as being qualified to become an officer, it has to be a 4-year degree.
What's the difference in pay between an E1 and an E2?
Almost $200 a month.
For a 4-year degree?
That's for
No. That's for 15 college credits.
Oh, that's for 2 years. That's for
So,
2 years.
so the difference between an O1 and an E1, because an O1 is a second lieutenant. As soon as you go commission, they make about 2.5 times. I can tell you exactly. It's about 2.5 times starting pay to be an officer. But I don't like quoting numbers and them being inaccurate, so Google is your friend.
Yeah.
And I've already learned
Google
that.
is your friend.
Military.
So I could decide whatever I wanted to get my bachelor's in. It doesn't matter.
Does not matter. The only thing about your college courses is they have to be college level. Even for the promotion to E2, if you were doing that, you can't go